Have you ever observed someone drifting into the distance, their silhouette fading, while a quiet certainty settles within you that they'll never encounter another soul quite like yours? This is a rare ache, not merely a sharp twinge that fades with the moment, but a persistent whisper that echoes through the stillness of your thoughts. It lingers not because she departed, but because she'll never confess the missteps she took in leaving. You offered her your hours, your vitality, perhaps even the depths of your spirit, yet she carries on as though your gifts were weightless, as if you were a fleeting shadow, easily cast aside. Still, many fail to grasp this truth. Women don't swiftly mourn their choices. Their pride, bolstered by their sense of self and the affirmations of those around them, forms a shield, delaying any flicker of remorse for a time. They persuade themselves their path was wise, that they've ascended to greater heights, that they've stepped forward without a backward glance. Yet there comes a pivotal instant when the veil of illusion lifts, and in that quiet fracture, regret begins to seep into their awareness. Too often, men err by attempting to hasten this revelation, pouring out pleas, sending messages into the void, or yearning for resolution to sway her heart. But the deeper reality unveils itself. True regret isn't born from words spoken, it emerges from absence, from the dawning recognition that she can no longer reach you, no longer shape your course, no longer stir your essence. That realization dismantles her confidence, not through your frustration or sorrow, but through the serene power of your utter detachment. Here, the ancient wisdom of Stoicism intertwines with the shadowed insights of human nature, revealing that genuine strength lies not in pursuit, but in the quiet resolve to turn away without a lingering gaze. A woman rarely rues the loss of a man who falters. She mourns the one who ascends, who vanishes into silence, refines himself, and emerges as a presence far grander than she ever foresaw. By the close of this journey, you'll no longer be the figure she abandoned, you'll become the memory she cherishes yet can never reclaim. If you're prepared to embrace that evolution, press the like button, subscribe, activate notifications, and share your thoughts below. Pain is my guide, for every trial of anguish offers wisdom to those disciplined enough to heed its lessons. 1. The truth about women and regret. Let us begin with the first insight, the subtle reality of women and regret. Rarely do women openly concede their errors in matters of the heart, not because they're untouched by remorse, but because their inner pride forbids such an admission, at least in the open light. Society perpetually whispers reassurances, affirming their choices, promising that a finer prospect awaits, urging them never to glance back at what was. Yet the unvarnished truth reveals itself. Regret doesn't proclaim its arrival with fanfare, it steals in silently, taking root in solitary moments, in the stillness of sleepless nights, in the comparisons she vowed never to entertain. Immediately following a parting, most women bask in a glow of validation, surrounded by sympathy, attention, and perhaps new possibilities. Their companions, their circles, and their own sense of righteousness fortify the notion that they've risen above, stepped into something better. But this is a fleeting mirage, for what truly shapes regret isn't the rush of the aftermath, it's the slow unfolding of time. The sole path to stirring her regret lies in denying her any proof that her judgment was sound. This demands restraint, no entreaties, no pursuit, no hint that she still commands your emotions. You must fade from her world, not as a vengeful gesture, but as a testament to your own mastery. When she anticipates your collapse yet witnesses you flourishing in quiet dignity, a shift stirs within her. Doubt creeps into the edges of her mind, and for a woman, doubt is the tender seed from which regret blossoms. Emotions guide her inner world, steering her through the currents of feeling rather than the steady light of reason, and this is why detachment holds such potency. When you cease to respond, when you become an enigma, when your presence no longer nourishes her sense of self, that's when the questions arise. That's when the quiet pang of regret takes hold. She'll never voice it, never reach out to confess her misjudgment, but her subtle actions will betray her, the way she lingers on your stories, the way your name surfaces in passing through shared acquaintances, the way she tentatively re-enters your orbit. By then, it will matter little, for you'll have already claimed victory. 2. Why begging is the ultimate weakness. Now, consider the second truth, the profound frailty revealed in begging. The instant you plead, your power dissolves. It's a simple, unyielding reality. Desperation erodes allure with swift precision, yet it remains the pitfall many men stumble into when a woman turns away. They implore her for another chance, dispatch lengthy messages brimming with emotion, or strive to convince her of her error. But they overlook a critical truth. Her decision was sealed long before her footsteps faded, her heart already unmoored from yours. When you beg, you merely affirm her choice, proving her departure was justified. Reflect on this. If a man truly knows his worth, if he holds his value in quiet confidence, would he ever chase after someone who no longer seeks him? Would a sovereign ever kneel to reclaim allegiance? A man secure in his essence does not pursue, he steps forward, allowing others to awaken to the treasure they've forsaken. When you plead, you silently declare, "You were correct, I'm incomplete without you, my peace hinges on your presence." Such vulnerability doesn't beckon her reconsideration, it extinguishes her respect, for attraction thrives not on reason but on the subtle dance of power. The moment you surrender that power, the balance shifts irrevocably. Yet here lies a secret few discern: the quieter you grow, the louder the unrest echoes in her thoughts. She awaits your reaction, anticipates your struggle to reclaim her, and when you offer nothing, not rage, not grief, not a fracture of spirit, her view of you unravels. The instant she senses her significance to you was overstated, doubt takes root in her mind. So, rather than pursuing, you withdraw. You grant her emptiness, not bitterness, not despair, but the serene void of silence. That is how you reclaim your strength. And should she return, it won't be your words that draw her back, it will be her own realization, born of her reflections. Now ask yourself, are you the one who clings, or the one who lets them rue their loss? 3. The Stoic's first move, emotional control. Let us now explore the third insight, the Stoic's initial step, mastery over one's emotions. When she turns away, your instinct may urge you to respond, to let anger flare, to demonstrate what she's relinquished. Yet this is precisely what she anticipates, the predictable path of those lacking strength, and such frailty rarely sways a woman's heart. The Stoic's opening move is clear and deliberate: govern your feelings with quiet resolve. This isn't about burying them deep within, it's about rising above them with disciplined command. A man swayed by his passions remains at their mercy, while a man who harnesses them holds the reins of his destiny. When you cease to react, her certainty falters, she expects pursuit, calls, traces of envy, and your stillness unravels her assumptions. Rather than reinforcing her choice, your composure plants seeds of doubt. Instead of nourishing her pride, you let it wither in the void of your restraint. This is the subtle might of emotional detachment. A woman seldom mourns the loss of one who pleads, she laments the one whose spirit she can no longer touch. At first, she may not perceive it, but as she observes your serenity, your unshaken presence thriving in silence, uncertainty begins to stir within her. She wonders at your tranquility, questions why you stand unbroken, and in that quiet pondering, regret takes its first breath. Yet this power hinges on authenticity. If you merely feign control while secretly yearning for her return, she'll sense the fracture beneath your facade. True stoicism is no performance. It's a state of being, a serene acceptance that what lies beyond your grasp need not define you. Embrace this fully, your dignity remains steadfast, unshaken by the comings and goings of others, and you become a fortress of resilience. From this moment, let nothing provoke you, no frantic messages, no bursts of emotion, no need to prove your value, just the stillness of growth. For the man who masters his inner tides commands all that follows. 4. The dark psychology of indifference. Now turn your gaze to the fourth truth, the shadowed potency of indifference. Nothing unsettles a woman's mind more than a calm, unwavering lack of concern. Not fury, not sorrow, nor even the sharpness of retribution, but the tranquil void of complete indifference. When she departs, she awaits your response, expecting you to pursue, to implore, to affirm her significance in your world, for in that instant, she believes the balance of power rests with her. Yet when you cloak yourself in silence, unmoved and untouched, the tide shifts beneath her feet. The moment she perceives your genuine detachment, her confidence stumbles, struck by the subtle force of your disinterest. This works its quiet magic by sowing uncertainty. She was certain you'd pine for her, that you'd falter, that you'd strive to reclaim her. When you defy those expectations, her thoughts spiral. Did I choose wisely? Why does he remain so steady? Did he ever truly value me? These questions begin to echo, consuming her in their stillness. The human spirit craves what slips beyond its reach. Render yourself distant, unshaken by her absence, and her mind reframes the tale she once told herself. She moves from a place of triumph in leaving to a quiet unease about your lack of reaction. Over time, that unease blossoms into regret. Many men falter here, believing that anger carries strength. It does not. Anger offers her a response, feeding her sense of self, while true indifference renders her invisible, a shadow no longer cast upon your thoughts. That realization, her irrelevance to you, crumbles her pride more than any outburst ever could. So when she glances at your stories, when she probes for a reaction, when she subtly extends a thread of contact, offer nothing in return. She doesn't reach out from affection, she seeks to test her lingering influence. Engage and you forfeit your ground, remain steadfast in your indifference, and she loses hers. 5. The power of rebuilding in silence. Finally, let us unveil the fifth insight, the profound strength of renewal forged in quiet solitude. The most enduring transformation unfolds away from prying eyes. While she assumes you're lost in yesterday's echoes, you're crafting the foundation of tomorrow. While she imagines you diminished, you're rising into something far greater, and by the time her awareness dawns, the hour for reconciliation will have passed. Too many squander their energy striving to prove their worth to one who left, posting glimpses of a curated life to spark envy, dropping hints in hopes she'll notice. But a true Stoic seeks no such approval. He withdraws into silence and refines himself without fanfare. No declarations, no broadcasts, only the steady rhythm of progress. Regret doesn't bloom in the moment of her departure. It takes root when she beholds you flourishing beyond her reach, when she sees herself as a mere passage in your saga, not its entirety. To bring this vision to life, channel your focus inward, sharpen your intellect, strengthen your frame, pursue your purpose, not for her, but for the man you're becoming. These are the pillars that render you invaluable, not in her eyes, but in your own. When a man commits wholly to his ascent, he becomes a beacon of resilience, and in an irony of fate, that's when the world begins to take note. She observes, even if she cloaks it in silence, whether she withholds contact, feigns indifference, or steps forward with another, her gaze lingers. Nothing strikes deeper than the realization that she abandoned a man who only grew stronger in her absence. Cease fretting over her thoughts, wondering if regret has stirred, or awaiting an apology. Your triumph is the only resolution you require. Let your success speak where words fall short. 6. The inevitable return, why she comes back. Let us now unveil the sixth insight, the unavoidable moment when she re-enters your orbit, not out of longing for you, but for the influence she once wielded over your spirit. When you cease your pursuit, when your silence becomes absolute, when you rise in ways she never foresaw, a quiet tremor stirs within her thoughts. She begins to ponder, to weigh her choices against the past, to recognize that you are a rare gift now beyond her grasp. At first, she cloaks herself in the illusion of progress, surrounding herself with fleeting distractions, affirmations from others, perhaps even a new companion to fill the void. Yet as time unfurls, the veneer fades, the initial thrill dims, and she finds herself gazing into the stillness, wondering, what occupies his days now? Does my memory linger in his mind? The truth reveals itself. Women are drawn to the elusive, to the enigma of a man whose feelings remain veiled, to the quiet challenge of uncertainty. Nothing weaves a deeper mystery than one who fades without a whisper and returns as a transformed presence, sculpted anew. This is the root of her inevitable return. When your desire for her wanes, when she senses her hold on you has slipped, her pride suffers a silent wound. She may send a fleeting note, react to your distant echoes online, or inquire about you through shared voices, but do not be deceived. Her approach isn't born of transformation. It's a probe to see if you've truly changed. Many stumble here, their hearts quickening with hope, believing her return signals regret or a longing to reunite. Yet the deeper reality is simpler. She seeks to test whether your emotions remain hers to command. Should you respond, the balance tilts once more in her favor, and the familiar pattern resumes its cycle. The true measure of strength lies not in her reappearance, but in your indifference to it, whether her shadow crossing your path stirs you at all. 7. The test, when she reaches out. Now, consider the seventh insight, the trial that arrives when she extends a tentative thread. It's only a matter of time before she does. A soft greeting, a casual reaction to your story, a question draped in innocence yet requiring no true reply. Make no mistake, this is no earnest outreach, it's a subtle examination. She doesn't contact you having suddenly glimpsed your value. She seeks to discern whether she still holds sway over your heart, whether you remain the man she once knew. Too many falter at this threshold, their spirits lifting with the thought, "This is my moment, she wants me back." They reply swiftly, dive into conversation, perhaps even attempt to rekindle what was lost. But in that instant, she prevails, her curiosity sated, her need for validation fulfilled, and soon, her interest wanes once more. A man who has truly ascended, however, does not leap at such crumbs. He refuses to entertain fleeting gestures or permit one who departed to stroll back into his world as though time erased her choice. He knows that genuine power rests in detachment. So how do you meet this moment when she reaches out? With stillness, you let it pass unanswered. A woman who sincerely rues losing you won't offer a tepid, vague signal. She'll make her intent unmistakable, her desire for reconciliation clear. Even then, the focus shifts not to her words, but to the man you've forged in her absence. Should you choose to respond, let it flow from a place of serene disinterest, brief, courteous, untroubled, devoid of fervor or effort. She must sense the change, must see that you're no longer the figure she left behind, but one now beyond her reach. That is how you triumph in this silent contest. 8. Beyond her, becoming the unshakable man. Finally, let us rise to the eighth truth, the journey beyond her, where you emerge as a pillar of unshaken strength. At this juncture, the question isn't whether she mourns her departure, it's whether that matters to you any longer. Many err by halting their growth the moment her gaze returns, believing her attention signals victory. Yet true dominion isn't found in her regret. It lies in dedicating yourself to your own path, rendering her reflections insignificant. A Stoic soul doesn't thrive for the approval of others, nor does he allow his worth to be shaped by a woman's fleeting view. He grasps that connections, emotions, even people, are transient, while his purpose, his resolve, and his self-respect endure as timeless anchors. Pause and reflect. Do you refine yourself to catch her eye, or because it's the essence of who you've become? If your ascent is merely a bid for her notice, she still holds the strings. Authentic power dawns when your evolution belongs solely to you, untethered from her shadow. A man who attains this height needs no resolution, no affirmation, no stage to display his worth, for he knows he has always been the prize. When she perceives this, when she beholds a man untouched by her absence, standing firm in his own light, that's when the weight of her loss settles upon her. But by then, it will be a distant echo, for you'll have already stepped beyond her horizon. 9. The final lesson, she'll never admit it, but she feels it. Let us now arrive at the ninth and culminating insight. Though she'll never confess it aloud, the weight of her regret stirs within her. She won't speak the words, won't openly acknowledge the misstep she made, yet deep in her quiet core, the truth pulses. Women, adept at shielding their pride, guard themselves fiercely. Even if she awakens to the rarity of the man she let slip away, she'll withhold the satisfaction of that admission. Instead, she'll cloak herself in composure, feigning progress, pretending your memory never crosses her mind. But her actions unveil what her lips conceal: the sudden glance at your stories, the seemingly chance encounters, the flicker in her demeanor when she witnesses you flourishing beyond her reach. Regret doesn't always declare itself in speech. It whispers through pauses, lingers in reluctance, and hides beneath a veneer of forced detachment. The truest triumph lies not in hearing her concede it, but in no longer needing to, for you've transcended the man she abandoned. You no longer crave affirmation from those who turn their backs, no longer linger for resolutions, explanations, or signs of her lingering care. Such things have lost their hold, for the real victory isn't in sparking her remorse. It's in reaching a place where her feelings fade into irrelevance. That, above all, shatters her pride, the realization that her silent turmoil no longer sways you. She'll never voice it, but the pang will settle in her spirit, and by the time it takes root, you'll have already stepped toward a grander horizon. If this wisdom echoes within you, press the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Before you stands a crossroads. You may remain tethered to yesterday, fixated on what once was, awaiting her return. Or you can stride forward, secure in the knowledge that you were always the treasure. In truth, this journey was never about her. It was about you, your mastery of discipline, your command over your emotions, your ascent into a man unshaken by loss. This is the man who seeks no approval, who stands firm beneath pressure, who invests no energy in those who chose to depart. The greatest strength isn't in prompting her regret, it's in forging yourself into a presence so resolute, so whole, that her remorse becomes a faint whisper, powerless to touch you. When you arrive at this summit, existence itself unfolds its rewards, fresh paths, new bonds, and heights of achievement that awaited your release from the shadows of the past. If you've journeyed this far, you're prepared, ready to rise above the ache, ready to embody a man who earns reverence rather than pursues it, a man who departs with the dignity of a sovereign. Should you dedicate yourself to this course, tap the like button, subscribe, and activate notifications to ensure you never miss the insights that distinguish you from the ordinary. Until we meet again, remain steadfast, stay keen, and continue your forward march. It is your time of truth.